I thought it was going to be Eric Bieniemy, and then I saw the name, and my phone starts blowing up. I'm like, yeah, I don't know that guy. And then I saw him. He has a visor and he has a highlighter in his visor. That's all I know about this guy. It's all most people seem to know.
Wait, so tell me again, the Eagles hired Nick who?
Swimmy. Slippy?
No, it's Nick Sirianni.
I was way off.
So who is this Nick Sirianni?
Honestly, I don't know anything about him.
It's one of those names that I had to actually go to Google and look him up.
I don't know anything about Nick Sirianni.
So after the Philadelphia Eagles endure one of the absolute worst regular season endings in modern NFL history, losing 6 of its last 7 games after starting 10-1, the Philadelphia Eagles decide to bring back head coach Nick Sirianni, which is strange because all indications pointed at head coach Nick Sirianni having lost the locker room and the trust of players. We now have insight as to why the Philadelphia Eagles would bring back a coach that looked absolutely lost during the regular season, had no answers whatsoever to stop the implosion of a Super Bowl caliber roster, looks silly and immature at times, and has an offensive system that struggles so bad down the stretch that players were calling out head coach Nick Sirianni for his predictable offensive philosophy. We take a deeper dive into Nick Sirianni, the coach, and how he managed to keep his job after a disastrous season. We also dissect the various different moving parts in the coaching staff and what changes to expect from a hopefully revamped coaching staff with the acquisition of new offensive coordinator Kellen and defensive coordinator Vic Fangio. This is the Voice of the Eagles show, and like always, God bless those Philadelphia Eagles.
But enough of that. Let's get right into the video.
It ain't no doggone tomorrow, fellas. What are you gonna bring to the doggone tape? Are you gonna bust somebody in their mouth? Are you gonna do your doggone job? Are you gonna play from your doggone chest? Are you gonna play from your heart and get everything you doggone got? Cause I'ma do that.
The Eagles have a history of firing really good coaches. Since 1983, only 4 coaches have lasted 5 or more years as the Philadelphia Eagles head coach, and those guys are Super Bowl winning Hall of Fame coaches like Dick Vermeil, Andy Reid, Doug Peterson, and NFL legend Buddy Ryan. Seems like only Hall of Fame Super Bowl winning coaches last with the Philadelphia Eagles, so I never would have thought Nick Sirianni would have made it to a 4th year as the Philadelphia Eagles head coach when you take into account Nick Sirianni was at the helm of the biggest collapse in not only Philadelphia Eagles history, but the entire NFL, as the Eagles would start the season off 10-1, only to lose 6 of his remaining games and get embarrassed in the playoffs. Andy Reid, a 4-time Super Bowl winning head coach, was fired by the Philadelphia Eagles, and yes, I'm counting the Super Bowl he won with the Green Bay Packers as assistant head coach. At the time of the Andy Reid firing, the Philadelphia Eagles had accomplished some really great things. Reid, who coached Philadelphia from 1999 to 2012, is the winningest coach in Eagles history. 5 NFC Championship games, 2001, 2, 3, and 4, and also in 2008, and 1 Super Bowl appearance. His 130 wins are more than double the 63 wins of the coach in second place, which is NFL Hall of Famer Greasy Neal. And then you have Doug Peterson, who we all call Dougie P, delivered the Eagles their only Super Bowl win ever, was fired after 5 years, ending with a 53 win percentage, a Lombardi trophy, and a statue outside of Lincoln Financial Field. Nick Sirianni played wide receiver at Division III Mount Union in Alliance, Ohio. He played 1 season semi-pro for the Canton Legends of the American Indoor Football League. This is a Division III college and a semi-pro team we're talking about here. Sirianni started his coaching career with Mount Union Purple Raiders football program, a Division III program as a defensive backs coach. From there, Nick Sirianni would be hired as the wide receivers coach at Indiana University of Pennsylvania, where he coached for 3 years at a Division II program. Nick Sirianni's first big gig in NFL with the Kansas City Chiefs as the offensive quality controls coach. Now it's interesting because new Chiefs head coach Todd Haley hired Nick Sirianni after they had became friends, meeting at a local YMCA during Sirianni's college days. Nick Sirianni would be promoted as the Chiefs wide receivers coach after Todd Haley was fired and new head coach Romeo Crennel took over. Nick Sirianni's tenure with the Chiefs would end after new Chiefs head coach Andy Reid decided not to bring Sirianni back with the Kansas City Chiefs. And honestly, I don't blame him. From there, Nick Sirianni would be hired by the San Diego Chargers in 2013 and held titles as a quarterbacks coach and wide receivers coach, working with guys like Phillip Rivers and Frank Reich. After Frank Reich became the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts in 2018, he hired Sirianni as offensive coordinator. Sirianni developed a close relationship with Frank Reich, similar to his relationship with Todd Haley. That somehow catapulted him into a position of opportunity and success. But unlike most head coaches, Frank Reich chose to call the team's plays rather than delegate the responsibilities to Nick Sirianni, which is extremely bizarre because in today's NFL, where all offensive coordinators are calling plays, it seemed like a rite of passage and a way to prove that you have what it takes to become a head coach when you could successfully call plays. Was Nick Sirianni not able or ready to call plays? Was he unqualified? Either way, I would not have been comfortable hiring a guy as my head coach that has never called plays or had any relative success in the NFL or any other level of competitive football calling plays. The Philadelphia Eagles mysteriously decided to hire Nick Sirianni, but why? On January 24th, 2021, Sirianni was hired to become the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles after firing the only Super Bowl winning head coach in Eagles history, Doug Peterson.
And we're back with some new video just into Eyewitness News. It shows brand new Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni arriving in Philadelphia there this morning. Stepping off that private jet, greeted by team general manager Howie Roseman and other members of the organization. And later, Sirianni got a chance to take a look at his new office. Pretty nice digs there.
Jeffrey Lurie explains why he hired Nick Sirianni.
I kind of go into why Nick Sirianni. Nick, with a group of so many good candidates, just shined throughout the process from the very beginning. So the research on Nick was terrific, and it was somebody that knew the game as well as anybody, football IQ off the charts, a grinder, somebody that had an unlimited work ethic and a desire to be great. He always had coaching in mind from his very beginning, his family background, his brothers, his dad, of course, and I just think it's somebody who has wanted to excel in this profession for so long, has excelled, and is more than ready to take the next step. But the research was part of it. It's a big part of it. The interview is probably, I don't know what percentage, it's probably 33% of it, somewhere around there. As soon as you got to spend time with Nick, and we probably spent about, 10, 12 hours together over 2 days, it became apparent that this is a very special communicator, not just a brilliant football IQ, which was very evident early on as we'd go through how he game plans, how he faces attacks, defenses, and how to maximize your personnel, not just sort of relying on a scheme, but how to each week attack exactly where who you're playing and what their strengths and weaknesses are in great detail. But much more than that, somebody who connects with everybody, and to me, it continues the culture we've had and builds on it. And in today's world, it doesn't get talked about maybe that often, but for the Eagles, culture remains the most important thing. And in our world today, there's such polarization, there's such a disconnect between people, and people get divided by race, by age, by politics, by whatever it is. There's social media that contributes to that, and it's I think really valuable to have somebody that innately and genuinely cares about who they work with, the players that play for them and with them, the other coaches, the staff, somebody who is genuine about caring. And for me, Nick epitomizes that. And the first step, I think, in being a great coach in modern football today, modern sports today, is to care very much about the players and coaches you work with and everybody. But a player who is 22, 30 years old, in this world, if you care, you can earn trust. If the caring is not real, if you're not being genuine, players are too smart and they see right through that, as they should. And one of the prerequisites for this job was to be able to have a head coach who literally cares every single day. And that continues the culture that we've been building over the last 5 years, and potentially accentuates it even further. But that was a deal breaker for me, for anybody that I felt didn't have that quality. I think that's kind of I don't know if it's the hidden sauce, but it's what propels everything else. Because if you care, you earn trust. If you earn trust, you can motivate. If you motivate, you can teach. And it all spins from there in terms of improving a player's performance, improving a team performance, increasing discipline, increasing accountability, and being able to really move off a status quo and advance whatever vision the head coach and his staff have. And I think that Nick has that in very unique ways, and it's a credit to him as a person. And you know, as you'll get to know him, I think you'll see what we all see in that. Football IQ off the charts, as I said. Leadership, it goes hand in hand with what I've been talking about, but it's even bigger than that. Can command a room. He has an edge. I think he'll be himself, and at times it'll be with an edge, and I think that's great. You know, I encourage that. Independent thinker, not tied to a particular scheme that's in fashion at any moment, but wants to maximize the individuals on the team, bring everybody together for a common good. And maybe, you know, with all that, the most important, a teacher who wants teachers around him at all times. And we talked about how to put together a great staff, and you know, he has a great vision for that. It's a combination of those that he knows already that are wonderful teachers, and those he was very much open to meeting and expanding his own horizons from, and that's what he's doing with his staff right now. I think, you know, it's the man, it's the teacher, it's the coach, it's the father, it's the husband. And a lot goes into it, and it's an important decision for an owner. It's an important decision for an organization, and I'm very, very excited by Nick and want to welcome his family, Brett, and their 3 kids. And you know, I think it's just a day where I'm exhilarated. Been exhilarated during this search. Sometimes you think the search is, you know, boy, we got to do this lengthy search, and really it was exhilarating for me, and I think for all of us. And Nick was the sort of the culmination of a lot of thought that went into it, and a lot of projection. And of course, that's what it is. It's an evaluation of what is now, and what coach he can become, and what organization we can become with his leadership. So with that, I want to welcome Nick to the Eagles, to Philadelphia, to the best fan base in America, and I wish him all the best.
Things looked bad early, as Nick Sirianni's play calling was horrible in his first year. It was so bad the Eagles decided to hand over play calling duties to Steichen. The Philadelphia Eagles were 9-8 in 2021. They finished 2nd in the NFC East and 7th in the NFC. They fell to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 31-15 in the 2021 NFC wildcard game. Nick Sirianni, his first year as the Eagles head coach, had orchestrated a successful playoff berth, mainly due to the Eagles' success on offense thanks to Steichen taking over play calling duties once Nick Sirianni began to severely struggle. Steichen implemented one of the run-heaviest offensive schemes in recent NFL history. It's a play calling formula that led to ample rushing opportunities for Jalen Hurts and was the change the Philadelphia Eagles needed after Nick Sirianni's plan to use Jalen Hurts to throw the ball 30 or more times a game failed miserably. The following year in 2022, Philadelphia Eagles will go on a historic Super Bowl run, but ultimately come up short, losing to the Kansas City Chiefs. Defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon built a top 5 pass defense, led the NFL in sacks, and ranked second for most sacks in a season ever in NFL history, behind only who? The '84 Chicago Bears, a historic defense. Offensive coordinator Shane Steichen had Jalen Hurts playing lights out, ending the 2022 season second in MVP voting, and the greatest Super Bowl performance from a losing quarterback I've ever seen in my life. It became extremely evident during the 2023 NFL season that losing 2 coordinators of that caliber would be detrimental to the success of the Philadelphia Eagles moving forward, because without Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon, Nick Sirianni looked lost. In 2023, the Eagles hired Brian Johnson as the Eagles offensive coordinator and Sean Desai as the Eagles defensive coordinator. That didn't work out, and the Eagles would fire both coordinators after just 1 year. Many began to wonder, was Nick Sirianni's success with the Eagles due to coordinators Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon? Did Nick Sirianni capitalize off Frank Reich's success as head coach and play caller while being an understudy to Frank Reich as the offensive coordinator for the Colts while the two were in Indianapolis? Well, things began to unravel during the 2023 season. Nick Sirianni had no answers for the chaos. Despite starting the 2023 season 10-1, the Philadelphia Eagles looked really bad. Jalen Hurts had taken a step back from his 2022 MVP season. Nick Sirianni's offensive system was broken. Brian Johnson's play calling was just gross, stale, horrid, putrid, simplistic. It reeked. It was bad. Defensively, the Eagles never stood a chance. With so many injuries early on, relying on rookies and a new defensive coordinator was an absolute disaster. Nick Sirianni, a passionate head coach that brings energy and excitement that the fans and players can feed off, was thought to be a staple of Nick Sirianni's personality. But that began to get stale as national media began to paint Nick Sirianni as some arrogant jerk that taunts officials, trash talks NFL fans. On the biggest stage of them all, Nick Sirianni is seen taunting the Kansas City Chiefs. Jalen Hurts is trying to stop him from doing so. People simply got tired of Nick Sirianni's outspoken and sometimes immature behavior. Me personally, I had no problem with Nick Sirianni's behavior at all. As a fan, it's honestly very entertaining. But when you start losing and players began to speak out against your system.
We're not playing good football right now. As an offense, we're not where we want to be. So, I mean, I'm not satisfied. Yeah, we got 11 wins. I'm not happy.
I know you can't speak for the whole team, but is that kind of the sense you get from a lot of your offensive teammates?
I think that's pretty much anybody in here, man. They'll probably tell you the same thing. We ain't playing how we're supposed to be. I'm not satisfied right now. Run out of time. We got 2 weeks. We got 2 weeks to get it together. Gotta find a way to stop the bleed. Practice. Work on the fundamentals. We put this team in a bad situation. Not putting up no points.
What's with the slow starts in particular?
I have no clue.
And leak information to the media.
Nick, there's a report that some players on the offense think the system has become predictable, and that the ball isn't being the plays aren't being designed to get the ball out of Jalen Hurts' hands quicker enough. Is that true?
I've been going back and forth with a couple of players in the locker room, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? First response I got back was, we are very predictable. I said, predictable? I said, explain. Our pass routes take too long to develop. Dallas gets their bleep out real quick.
We obviously don't think so as coaches. We'll continue to work on making sure that we're meshing things together, that, you know, hey, this looks like that, so there's not a beat on anything. You can't be predictable on anything you do. We're working like crazy to complement our plays, so there is nothing, you know, we'll look at everything during our self-scout to make sure we're not predictable and doing different things to hit all levels of the field.
Now it becomes a locker room issue. And if you lose the locker room, no NFL head coach has ever came back from that. The players seem to never respond to Nick Sirianni. An anonymous source leaked information to Jay Glazer saying Nick Sirianni gave a speech to the Eagles before the 49ers game.
A lot of trash talk this week, but two totally different approaches here. First, Kyle Shanahan last night to his team said, guys, we had a lot of heartbreak last year. We lost 2 of our quarterbacks, obviously, but you still fought. So this is our chance to right the wrong from a year ago. But how about this? Nick Sirianni. We saw a lot of trash being talked for a while from the 49ers about the Eagles. He didn't shy away from it. Instead, he told his team, take it personally, and he showed clips of the 49ers talking trash about those Philadelphia Eagles, but it also showed clips of players talking trash about Michael Jordan and what Michael Jordan do to make them pay. He said, that's what I want. I want you to take it personal.
How did they respond? They got whooped bad and showed no effort at all. Nick Sirianni in 2021 wore the Beat Dallas shirts, trying to rally the troops. And what happened?
Yeah, I'll be wearing this all week. My kids got it, my wife has one, and yeah, we'll be wearing them.
The team got blew out. It seems to me that the Philadelphia Eagles just don't respond well to Nick Sirianni, which is a clear indication that he has either lost the locker room or respect from players. AJ Brown gives insight into one motivational speech by Nick Sirianni that is completely bizarre. Take a listen.
Nick be trying to like put up videos like for the team and stuff for guys to like relate to him and stuff. Cause that's how he speak to the team. Right. He'll like relate to it off the video. He'll say stuff out the video. And you know, some of the stories that they be making, bro. They be making up, bro. I be in my chair, bro, dying laughing. I'm gonna give y'all a little sample. As I sit in my car, I see my neighbor and she's walking her dog, and the dog goes to the bathroom, you know, and she gets the bag out. She scoops the shit. Yeah. And I'm just thinking that everything she did in that exact moment, you know, how she scooped it, how she got the bag, the technique, no way. The technique, no way. So this would be funny. It was like, it's in the detail, guys. It's in the detail. It's in the how she scooped down, put her 4 fingers together, and then she scoops it. And that's what we are. We're in the details of this thing, and that's what we gotta do.
Nick Sirianni has been successful in Philly. The only head coach to take the Eagles to the playoffs in his first 3 seasons. Sirianni is just the 3rd head coach to win 11+ games with the franchise in consecutive seasons. Sirianni 34-17 record with the Eagles is the highest win percentage in team history. Sirianni has the 3rd highest win percentage among active NFL head coaches and the 14th highest in NFL history among coaches who have 50+ games. I'll put some respect on Nick Sirianni's name. He has done some really great positive things in Philly, but that collapse last year was so bad that, you know, he will be coming into his 4th season, you know, on a hot seat. His job is on the line, right? That's how bad this thing was. And in Philly, it's hard to last as a head coach. Only head coaches that lasted are Hall of Fame coaches, Super Bowl winning coaches. Andy Reid didn't even last in Philly. Doug Peterson, the guy who gave them their only Super Bowl, our only Super Bowl. Nick Sirianni has done some really amazing things as a Philadelphia Eagles head coach, but how much of his success in the NFL has been because of the coach's success around him? I'm rooting for Nick Sirianni and believe in him, but how invested are the players? Nick Sirianni and the Philadelphia Eagles now have a new offensive coordinator, a new defensive coordinator for the 2nd consecutive year. Kellen Moore played college football for the Boise State Broncos. Moore owns the NCAA record for most wins by a quarterback and remains the only quarterback ever to reach 50-win mark. In his 4 years as a starter for the Broncos, Moore helped lead them to 4 straight 12-win seasons, including a perfect 14-0 season in 2009. Kellen Moore was signed by Detroit Lions as an undrafted free agent in 2012. He played as a backup with the Lions and the Dallas Cowboys for 3 seasons each. Moore retired from playing in 2018 and rejoined the Cowboys as a coach, serving as the team's offensive coordinator from 2019 to 2022. He became the Chargers offensive coordinator in 2023. As the offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys, Kellen Moore made Dak Prescott look elite. In 2019, Dak Prescott threw for nearly 5,000 passing yards. In 2021, under Kellen Moore, Dak threw for 37 touchdowns and 4,449 passing yards, leading the NFL in total yards and points. Kellen Moore coached the Cowboys to 3 top 6 offensive rankings in 4 years in Dallas. His 1 year with the Chargers in 2023 with bright young star Justin Herbert was an up and down season for the Bolts, for the offense under Moore. This was in large part due to major injuries at different positions to players such as wide receiver Mike Williams and center Corey Lindsey, both missing the last 14 games of the season. Others, such as quarterback Justin Herbert, running back Austin Eckler, and wide receiver Keenan Allen and Joshua Palmer, all missed multiple games. Justin Herbert threw for 3,134 yards, 20 touchdowns with 7 interceptions, while also adding 228 rushing yards and 3 scores in only 13 games. He missed the rest of the season with a fractured finger to his throwing hand. The offense took a big hit following Herbert's absence, but Moore was still able to give the offense a chance with backup quarterback Easton Stick, who threw for 1,129 yards with 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. He was able to get the best out of Stick, but perhaps Moore's biggest move on offense was his utilization of Allen, who was on pace to finish with career best all across the board had he played in all 17 games, and was a weapon for the Bolts all over the field. The longtime Bolts receiver set franchise records for most catches in a season. This is all credited to new Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore checks all the boxes for me. He is a former NFL quarterback. He is young, innovative, has a proven system, it works, and he has proven himself in the NFL as a successful play caller and has had immense success as a young, bright mind in today's NFL. When you pair him with guys like Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, and a top 5 offensive line, you give a guy like Kellen Moore those type of pieces, it translates very well to success because we've seen Kellen Moore excel. He is a proven commodity, taking over an offense that ranks 7 in points per game, 9th in yards per game, 5th in third down conversion, and 9th in yards per rush. This could be scary for the entire NFL. Head coach Nick Sirianni gives insight into what to expect from Kellen Moore.
There's a lot of concepts that are very, very similar, but I hired Kellen to do a job, and we'll mesh things together. Just like I said right from the beginning, things will be, we'll have some good things that we've done here in the past. He's going to bring some new elements to it, and but to say 27% is going to be this, there's a lot of similarities within it too, and so. But Kellen's just doing a good job of leading the offense, and we're really excited about that.
Parts of Kellen Moore's scheme will complement those two keepers.
Yeah, good question. So obviously Kellen, I hired Kellen because I felt like he was the best guy for the job, and Kellen's been successful in every place that he's been. I know it's relatively a young career, but he's been successful as a player. He's been successful as a coach, and so, I like the way he thinks about football and the way he takes everything in and is able to make decisions off of that. So it's been fun getting to know him. I've always had respect from him from afar, and it's been fun getting to know him and work through these things together, to build our offense for next season. And so he's been highly successful, and we've been highly successful. And I think that, I'm really looking forward to meshing the things, meshing what he's done really well together with the things that we've done really well. And I think it's going to be a really good match. And Kellen's track record speaks for itself. As far as us kind of creating our Philadelphia Eagles offense going into 2024, right? That will be thoughts that we've done in the past really well. That'll be thoughts that Kellen's done in the past really well. And so, we look forward to building that together. It's meshing of two systems to grow in both systems so we can put the best product on the field. And so, that's why that's kind of stayed similar is because we're going to be doing a lot of different, we're going to be doing different things, but also going to be doing things that we've been successful at as well. And so, and obviously those guys that I just mentioned on offense have been here through the success and look forward to growing from there.
Now, when rebuilding any defense filled with young talent, what better guy to have at the helm than the godfather of defense himself, Vic Fangio?
CJ, what do you know about Vic Fangio's scheme?
Legit.
I call him the godfather of defense. Fangio is a native of Dunmore, Pennsylvania, which is just outside of Scranton and roughly 2 hours from Philadelphia, and a die-hard Phillies fan. I truly believe Vic Fangio is the brightest football mind in the entire NFL. His innovative scheme has forever changed the way defense is played. The guy is a pioneer. Vic Fangio has his hands full with this defense. The Philadelphia Eagles was at the bottom of the NFL in multiple key categories like passing yards allowed per game, sack rate, points per game, points allowed per game. Eagles were also horrible on third down on red zone defense. It was so bad that around mid-season, Eagles defensive coordinator was demoted and replaced by a guy who was actually worse. Fangio's defense have consistently been among the most productive in the NFL in a number of categories, including scoring defense, total yards allowed, and fewest penalties. His defense have ranked in the league's top 5 in yards allowed in 8 of the last 13 seasons, while placing in the top 5 in fewer points allowed 7 times over that span. In just 1 year with the Dolphins, Vic Fangio's defense showed sparks of greatness as they would lead the league in sack percentage, bolster the top 10 run defense, and third in the NFL in sacks, an area the Philadelphia Eagles desperately need help in. Fangio's defensive scheme has become one of the most popular schemes across the NFL over the past several years. Plenty of teams across the league have hired a coach from his coaching tree to call their defense. Desai, who the Eagles recently fired as their defensive coordinator, is considered a disciple of Fangio. Fangio's defense usually has a too-high safety look with light boxes. It also doesn't blitz a lot, but Fangio is known for his ability to disguise coverages and pressures the same looks. Fangio's base defense usually has 3 defensive linemen, 4 linebackers, and 4 defensive backs. You can't write the history of the past 5 or 6 years of NFL defense without Vic Fangio. The Philadelphia Eagles are entering a pivotal point in Nick Sirianni's tenure, going into his 4th season as the Eagles head coach. Not too many coaches make it to year 5 and beyond with the Philadelphia Eagles. With 2 new coordinators 2 years in a row, Nick Sirianni's future in Philadelphia may solely rely on the performance of Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore. This is the Voice of the Eagles show, and like always, God bless those Philadelphia Eagles. Clocking out.
your doggone job? Are you gonna play from your doggone chest? Are you gonna play from your heart and get everything you doggone got? Cause I'ma do that.